What is the meaning of life? Why are we here? The biggest questions of all. The questions that have dogged the greatest minds for centuries. It makes me look up to the heavens in awe at our vast, magnificent universe and wonder at the possibilities of what life is all about. Join me on a journey to understand more about who we are, why we're here, and to discover more happiness, meaning, and purpose. Do we have free will, or are we simply a victim of fate, trapped in the claws of destiny? Now, some people believe it will happen if God wills it, God will decide, as if we have no control. Others believe that we do have free will. We have the free will to make our lives what we want them to be. These questions have dogged the minds of scientists and philosophers for millennia. How can we resolve this paradox? In the last part of the film, we discussed the idea of a projected reality. How does that help us with this question? The people and situations that we meet in life may be projections of our past actions. They manifest based on our conditionings. So we can call that our destiny. But our free will is how we choose to respond to that destiny. We can respond either from the reactive mind or with a clear intellect. And the way that we react, whether we react with self-awareness or not, affects the next projection. So could it be that in our lives there is both an element of destiny and an element of free will? Just like the rain is our destiny, whether we use an umbrella or not is our free will. Let's say a person has a habit of getting angry and frustrated at work. That is their conditioning. Through their words and actions, they easily get angry. Reacting unconsciously with the mind reinforces their conditioning. They are then trapped in the claws of destiny, destined to repeat the same situations in life. More projected realities will come to create anger in them. Our free will is responding consciously using a clear intellect, based on what we think is the right thing to do. In the story, the person can recognize the anger and choose not to react in anger. Through self-awareness, we can change our old habits of thinking and reacting. The new groove technique can help us do that. Self-inquiry and self-knowledge support the intellect in catching those reactions before we get lost too deeply in them. Self-inquiry is being aware of our reactions and changing them. Self-knowledge is that deeper knowledge of who we truly are. Imagine your life is like a theatre play and you are the main actor. Once the act has started, the other actors are on the stage, ready for your grand entrance. There is nothing you can do about it. This situation is your destiny. Now, are you going to react unconsciously, following the script of your past conditionings? Or are you going to write a new script? The audience is hushed. Now the audience waits to see how you will react. And the secret of life is to leave the stage to lots of applause. But who is the audience? It's the one consciousness, the eternal observer within you. We can become more aware of our unconscious reactions and decide, is that who I really want to be? Do I want to be the person that constantly gets annoyed at my parents? Do I want to be jealous of other people? Do I want to cheat my customers at work? Do I want to shout at my partner? Do I want to feel a victim all the time? If it doesn't fit with who we choose to be, then we can change our thoughts, our feelings and behaviours. This is our free will using our intellect. Every thought, word and action is an act of self-definition. It defines who we are. Who am I and who do I choose to be in relation to this personal situation? Often we know that we should change some of our behaviours, our thoughts or emotions. Sometimes we may be hurting others, but we still don't change our behaviours. But why is that? It comes down to our perspectives once again. There are three main negative perspectives that we may have on changing. Firstly, I'm not worthy. Sometimes we can keep blaming ourselves for being a certain way, and this can hold us back. Let's be accepting and loving of who we are, despite the fact that we are aware of our mistakes and things that we want to change in ourselves. High self-esteem and self-love accelerate the healing within us, so that we can use the new groove technique every time any part of our minds tries to put us down. Secondly, we might think that we don't believe that we can change. We think, this is just me. Sometimes a behaviour or a thought pattern becomes linked to our identity. But we are much more than just our thoughts and behaviours. The antidote to this is realising that we can all change, we can all evolve. Our brain is inherently flexible. It just requires commitment and patience. And thirdly, we may feel it's just not worth changing. In that situation, we can think about the pain of not changing and the benefits of committing to change. If we really associate into those two different realities, then we can connect to some powerful emotional motivation to change. Now, these shifts require self-effort. What is self-effort? It's being on that kayak in the middle of that groove in the mind. And the water is the power of our reactive thoughts. They're coming thick and fast, and we get carried away with them downstream. We believe our reactive minds and act unconsciously. The mind is pretty good at marketing. It uses powerful emotions to market its message to you. Then maybe you decide to think or act in a different way. You can propel the kayak against the flow and paddle upstream in a different direction. If the conditioning is strong, then it is easy to get carried away with your previous reactions. But if you paddle powerfully enough upstream, you have enough awareness, then you can take the boat in a different direction and overcome the strong tendencies within you. Your self-effort has to be stronger than your past habits in order to reverse the conditioning. Once you change the conditioning, then the projected reality also changes. That is the free will. Because now we have changed our future destiny by changing our current reactions. This is conscious living. This is taking responsibility for what comes our way. Does this mean life becomes a battle against our inherent tendencies? Do we push against life with teeth clenched? No, the process of purifying the mind can be gentle, and it can also be very loving. Our self-effort is our ability to simply observe our thoughts and disidentify from all those emotional thoughts and substitute something higher. You decide what the higher thing is to do. In the experiment section under spiritual action, we talked about doing the right thing, dedicating our actions to a higher purpose, a higher goal. Now, why do we have to go through these events, this projected reality, to change our conditioning? Why can't we just change it with a snap of our fingers? Well, if we think about it, the conditionings were created in the past when we engaged with people and situations. Therefore, logically, in order to release those conditionings, we have to re-engage with similar situations and people, but respond differently to drop the conditioning. And there is a further secret. As we use the 3S journey back to blue, the experiment, we don't necessarily have to go through all of those tricky people and situations in the same way. In the last section of the film, we discussed the idea of a projected reality, where the people and situations of our lives are a projection of our conditionings, to give us an opportunity to grow and reduce our conditionings. But if we use the 3S experiment, the journey back to blue, if we use that to reduce our conditionings with conscious awareness, then we change the next projected reality. We directly reduce the number of conditionings, and therefore we change our destiny. Therefore, the future is never set. Our self-effort can reap its rewards. In fact, these opportunities to drop conditionings can be seen as one huge virtual reality video game. The souls are the characters in the game who have forgotten who they really are, and they think they are their minds. The situations in life are our destiny. They are the challenges in the game, the people in situations that we're bound to meet. The other people in our lives are the other souls who are playing the game from a different perspective, like a multiplayer game. Our free will is how skillfully we play the game. In order to enjoy the game, we need to know the rules. Imagine starting to play a video game with no idea what we're supposed to do. It will become very frustrating and we'll suffer. But self-knowledge helps us understand the rules of the game so that we can relax into the game and not take it so seriously. And that's when life becomes an opportunity, a joy. If we play the game long enough, we'll eventually remember that we're not the character in the game, but really we're the witness. And then we reach the end and the game is over. The secret of life is to see it all as a play, as impermanent, as a play and display of consciousness. Let's conclude this section by saying that in our lives, there's an element of destiny and an element of free will. The people and situations that we meet are our destiny. How we deal with them is our free will. Now, in this section, we've looked at how we have the free will to create more of what we want in our lives. When we change our thinking, let go of being a victim, and change our conditionings. In the next section, we shall look at how everything that happens in our destiny is for a reason. What you meet is your destiny. How you deal with it is your free will. Self-effort is not being a slave to your past tendencies and habits, but instead choosing your responses anew. You can choose with a calm, clear intellect and an open heart, doing the right, noble thing rather than what feels good. Life is like a game, and our free will is how we choose to progress through the game. In the next video, we'll look at whether things happen for a reason.